breaking also this morning on the coronavirus, with a potential third vaccine now one step closer to approval. FDA staffers this morning are giving their sign-off to the single-shot candidate from Johnson & Johnson. So this comes about 48 hours before the FDA is set to meet and decide whether to actually green-light this shot for emergency use. I want to bring in NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar, who is joining us here now. So, Dr. Azar, we have seen this now a couple of times in the past. This information comes out, the documentation. It seems like it's a good sign. As we've seen for the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, it then goes on to get the green light from the FDA. Do you see the same thing for this J&J vaccine? Do you think it is now on track for approval, possibly by the end of the week?
I absolutely do, Hallie. I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to come up in the next 48 hours or on Friday in that VRBPAC meeting that's going to make officials, give them any concern about authorizing this EUA. Look, when we're analyzing, whether or not to grant an EUA for a vaccine, we're looking at a number of different things. We're looking at safety, efficacy, tolerability, and of course, the big question of whether or not the vaccine can reduce transmission. So what did we learn that was new that we didn't already know from a couple of weeks ago? Well, it certainly, I think, reestablished and reconfirmed that this does appear to be a very safe and effective vaccine. And, there are a lot of numbers here, but I think it's important to reiterate in the U.S., the overall efficacy was 72%, but that efficacy increased to 86% for preventing severe disease. Now, a big number that we thought that was new this morning that we're very, very excited about is the overall efficacy in South Africa. Remember, with that South African variant, a couple of weeks ago, we had a number of about 57% efficacy. That increased to 64% overall efficacy for the South African variant and 82% effective at preventing severe disease caused by that South African variant, Hallie.
That is good news, obviously. And the other piece of this that is potentially good news, it is a single shot vaccine, as we've been talking about, as this J&J shot has been in development. How much of a game changer do you think that is, as opposed to the two-shot vaccines that are on the market right now?
Huge, Hallie. Number one, yes, one shot only right now, stored in regular refrigerated temperatures for 3 months. And by all accounts, it appears to be slightly better tolerated than the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine, with just some arm pain, some headache, some fatigue, low-grade fever. Thus far, no anaphylactic reactions have been reported to this vaccine, so that is great news. There also appears to have been no difference across race, ethnicity, as well as age. And the biggest bit of information that we can offer today is that there is a suggestion that it might be able to reduce transmission in people who've been vaccinated. That is, it reduces the amount of asymptomatic disease. Now, the authors and researchers and vaccine makers are very cautious to say that we're not suggesting yet that it can reduce transmission yet. But this data is much more promising than what we've seen with Novavax and AstraZeneca in this same regard.
Before I let you go, talk timeline here. If this does get FDA approval by, let's say, the end of the week, when do we actually start seeing shots in arms for people, this single shot dose?
So this was probably the only bit of information that was a little bit discouraging today. I think they're a little bit lower than their goals in terms of pledged amounts. We're anticipating about 2 to 4 million doses being available by the end of February. That number increases to about 20 million by the end of March. And they are under contract to produce up to 100 million doses by the end of June. So, Hallie, I think you'll start seeing, just like we did with Pfizer and Moderna, pretty quick turnaround, and we'll get shots in arms probably the week after it's approved.
And obviously a big day end of this week as we wait to see whether this does, in fact, get that official green light from the FDA. Dr. Natalie Azar, Thank you for that.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.